Welcome to Covenant Keepers Ministries and our video devotional for today, Tuesday, August the 13th, 2019. It's a privilege for me to be able to bring this word to you today. Thank you for joining me. I pray God's Spirit will minister richly to all of us as we walk through this discussion on persecution. I'm reading out of Ephesians 5:1 through 5. It says, "Therefore be followers of God as dear children, and walk in love as Christ also has loved us and given himself for us, an offering and sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling aroma. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be named among you, as is fitting for saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor coarse jesting, which are not fitting, but rather giving of thanks. For this you know, that no fornicator, unclean person, nor covetous man who is an idolater has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God." I want to pursue further this walk in love phrase from verse 2 today. We are not just to walk in love toward believers, we are to do so toward unbelievers. Just as Christ also loved us while we were an unbeliever. When we were sinners, he died for us. So we're to love the ungodly and the sinner today. I know that this messes with so much theology and practice among believers. We believe that Jesus loved us while we were a sinner, but we don't believe we're to love sinners today. We find it very difficult as believers in the American culture to condemn sin without condemning the sinner. And you may struggle right now with me saying that, well, how can you condemn the sin without condemning the sinner? Well, Jesus did it frequently. Woman at the well is a classic example. We know that practiced behavior has consequences, one of which can exclude humans from eternity with God. But our conversation has to be select. It has to, concerning sinners, we need to reflect our hatred of sin and our love of them as individuals. And my question to you is, how can you improve that? How can I improve that? I know that the politically correct climate of our culture wants to label anything a believer says as hate speech, but the truth is our conversation is to be full of grace, seasoned with salt, that we know how we should respond to each person. Therefore, we deal carefully with people. With some, we have the sword out and we use it fully, and with others, we are gentle and exercise more grace. I'd like to illustrate this from something that happened in my life. I coached 4th to 5th grade boys in a public school for about 4 years. And we had a game one night. We had a boy show up late. And he was late because he didn't arrive for the pre-game warm-ups. At about tip-off time, into the gym walks this father with his son, and the dad walks right up to me and says, "Could I speak to you privately?" And we're about ready to tip off the game. And the only private place for us to go in that entire area was into the janitor's closet. So we went in. The father asked the son to explain to me why we were in this janitor's closet. And the son told me that he had stolen some things from a girl's purse in his class that day at school. And his dad had dealt with the issue at home, but he knew that he'd participated in basketball, and he knew that I had taught the boys because I'd sent letters to all the parents that the boys playing basketball was a privilege and it wasn't a right, and that they needed to obey their parents, obey their teachers, get along with other students at school and so forth. And all the parents got this information. So he came and he said, "Well, I want to leave it up to you whether or not he gets to play, because we've dealt with the issue at home." Now, I think the dad should have made that decision, but I'm standing there and I'm thinking, wow, this is a great opportunity to work with these kids. And so the boy, 9 years of age, had come clean. He was sorry for what he had done. And I didn't have a sense that I needed to punish him any further and tell him he couldn't play in the basketball game. And so I looked at the father and I said, "Well, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have him go out, sit down with the team. I'd like him to confess to the team what he's done and ask them for forgiveness, and we'll see what they feel, what they want to do." So it's kind of amazing. It was past the kickoff, the tip-off time, and I went to the coach of the team and said, we need to deal with an issue. Could you just have your team sit down over here in the chairs? And I took our team down to the center court, had them sit around the center circle, and I said, Johnny has something to say and something to tell you. He told them the story he told me, and he asked these 8 to 10-year-old boys for forgiveness. I didn't say a single thing when he got done, and immediately, without any kind of prompting, they responded in unison. When he asked for forgiveness, they said, we forgive you. And now I'm standing there as a pastor of a church of 1,200 people, who I had so many people in the church who wouldn't even forgive other people in the church, and I'm brought to tears because these 8 to 10-year-old boys understood more about when someone asks for forgiveness, comes clean from their sin, we're to pour the love of God out to them. I couldn't get my people in church to forgive, and here these 8 to 10-year-olds were ready to forgive without any prompting on my part. The guys hugged each other and we played some ball, and I'd call that walking in love. I think the world's waiting for the church to catch up to the level of their master's instructions. We know that we're told to love even our enemies, but unfortunately it seems we have an easier time sending people to hell. I guarantee you it's harder to love than to curse, but blessing only comes when we've spent time sitting at the feet of Jesus. I challenge you to be a blesser and find a way to curb the cursing. Love others. And when you love others, you're going to avoid persecution. Oh, Father, teach us to walk in love toward those of the household of faith and to those who are in sin in our world. May somehow our spending quality and quantities of time with you change our spirit and heart so that we can more clearly reflect how you would act in our world today. Thank you. Amen. Hey, grace and peace over you today. Have a blessed day and keep following Jesus.